Present.
Commissioner Sewell.
Here.
Alternate Gaida.
Here.
Alternate Salmeri. Alternate Ma.
Here.
Alternate Caird.
Here.
Commissioner Chaplinsky.
Here.
Commissioner Wolowski. Chair Hammersley.
Hammersley's here. I did hear from Commissioners Salmeri and Wolowski. Neither of them will be able to join us tonight. I do expect that Mr. Tedesco will be with us at some point soon. But in Commissioner Wolowski's spot, we'll seat Commissioner Ma in his place. And I think I still have a quorum with that, but we'll hold off in the event that Nick doesn't show up, then we'll seat one of you at the appropriate time. Is that, we still have a quorum, correct?
You have a quorum.
We have a quorum, okay. So with that, let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge of Allegiance. Could all remain standing for a moment of silent reflection, please? Thank you. Okay, looking for a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting on July 16th, 2024.
So moved.
Commissioner Britton with a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Chaplinsky with a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, yea?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item number 7, Commissioner discussion, subcommittee reports. I have a couple of them listed here, so we'll go through those, and let me skip the economic strike force. I'll come back to that in a second. POCD, Jamie?
We're going to have our first meeting in October, and I'm going to be picking some committee members in the next few weeks, so the next meeting I'll have a report for you.
Okay. And just on the POCD real quick, I have had some regular correspondence with the person who put together our last plan of conservation development, Jen Clark, who's moved up the ranks into the town council. She's going to give us a presentation that she had prepared for us last year when she still sat to my right over here on the status of the current plan of conservation development, where we are in terms of implementing that. She's going to do that. We're scheduling that, I think, for our second meeting in September, which would be the 17th of September. So, but we're going to delve into that. I know Jeremy has some money in his budget to hire a consultant for that purpose. And it's going to be something that I want to undertake in earnest over the next 18 months to try to get that done and in place. We are required by state statute to get that done no later than the 2026 timeframe. But I'd like to get that done sooner rather than later. I don't think it's going to be a Herculean task, but I'm sure that Jamie will put his arms around it and figure out what we need to do with the people that are going to be interested. If anyone's interested in being a part of that commission, again, this will all come back to us. This is a planning and zoning exercise. We are the only ones, the body politic, if you will, in town that have say on this. Ultimately, we're the ones who vote on it, but it is a process that involves extensive community output and input, Charlottes and all that kind of stuff that you may look forward to if you're like me. But we will be doing a lot of that over the next 18 months to gain input from the town and its residents on what we want Southington to look like for the next 10 years, going out to the 2035, 36 timeframe. So think about that, right? My kid will be out of college by then. Wow. Anyways, thank you, Jamie, for that. Open space, Todd, you have something?
Yeah, sure, I'll speak to that. So our July and August meetings were canceled, so I'll kind of just recap from April to June. We haven't acquired any new parcels as of this time frame, but there have been some kind of enhancements and improvements to some of the existing parcels, so I'll just go through a few of them here. Just bear with me because there are a handful of them here. So the Pleasant Street Community Garden, Mark Ramsey of the Leaf Connecticut organization has been responsible for tilling it, putting mulch down. There's 10 to 20-foot beds that have already been reserved. There's an agricultural science grant that has provided funding to build a barn actually to house animals on that property. And that's going to be presented to the Open Space Committee once there's a final plan in place. This will be an added amenity for our community and schools, especially since the current agricultural science area is not really sufficient for what their needs are. There's actually been chicken fencing that's been installed, and the chickens were located there at the end of June. So we've received a recreational trails grant of $7,000, which covers 2-foot bridges on the Novick property to preserve safe passage during like high rainfall periods through the Patton Brook corridor, which I guess is notoriously a little bit tricky when it gets wet and muddy. The Grosky barn, the electrical service was repaired there after a limb fell on the barn. So the electric fence will be extended due to wildlife chewing on the barn as well. So that's been a little bit of a challenge in there. One of the more fun ones, geocachers. There's actually a group in town that's big into geocaching, apparently. So there's been some cache placements on the Curtis parcel of land, which there's potential for inclusion in the forthcoming open space social media page, which we're currently trying to get underway. So, a couple miscellaneous things here. The Milldale Train Depot, there's a model train engineers group that's expressed interest in locating there. So they're potentially planning on setting up their model trains, and I guess they're pretty elaborate overall. So they'd be erected there, and visitors come and look at those 2 times a month if you're into that type of thing. And then, again, the Curtis Open Space, there's been a storyboard that's actually been installed at the request of the committee, actually by Mark, in coordination with the Open Space Committee, the Barnes Museum and the Historical Society. The unveiling of the storyboard is designed to memorialize Carlos Curtis and the pro-abolitionist legacy of the Curtis Farm. So that is, definitely a very neat thing to have in our town. That's potential connection to that. So. And then the one last thing for the farm heritage aspect of our committee, going back to the barn, we did apply for a grant to fund construction of a big barn on that parcel. And the agricultural science director, Owen McLaughlin, actually provided a concept overview in collaboration with Pete Romano, in which the funding would actually be provided by either, I think, state grants. So there's no actual additional financial impact to the town. And this was already voted on by the town council. So. That's it.
All right, thanks, Todd. That was a great report, especially on that Curtis Street property. I remember the conversation when we looked at that. That was an ARC zone application, if I remember correctly. But they found through historical records that was part of the Underground Railroad operation, which, Caleb, what do you got?
What's geocaching?
I only have a loose understanding of it myself. I believe it's basically like, you get coordinates, I don't know if it's like through a satellite type of, technology, and then you have to find certain things at like certain coordinates, and then that will give you clues to other things that you then have to find. I think that's what it is.
It's like a scavenger hunt.
Yeah, it's kind of kind of a more elaborate scavenger hunt type of thing, so
Yeah.
No, good
Good
question.
stuff. Any other questions of Todd or Jamie on either of those 2 reports? Okay, just talking about the Economic Strike Force Committee, we did have a meeting last on Tuesday, August 6th. Of this year, a couple weeks ago. There were a couple items that were discussed. I won't go into great detail. I'm happy to discuss them afterwards, anyone who wants to talk about them. There are a couple things that I will bring up that were discussed and ultimately passed up to the town council for their consideration was a request for a tax abatement on the hotel that we had approved on the corner of West Main Street and West Street. I think that the town council approved of that at their last meeting last week, if I remember correctly. Also, there was pretty extensive conversations, and if you're not aware of this, I'll let you know right now that the town has been making some efforts to realign Churchill and Curtis, as well as, West Pines and Spring Street, so that they align with each other. Right now, they're offset by each other, and the idea is to bring them together so that the West Pines and the Churchill get the benefit of the traffic light that sits at those other intersections. They've been going through some negotiations with the property owners there to try to get that done. Lou Perillo and his group down in our Economic Development Office have been working on that in earnest, but, don't count your chickens before they hatch, and I've always been cautiously optimistic that eventually we'll get it done, so hopefully we'll get it done, and I think that's all good stuff that plays into the safety, and it's something we talk about often here is the safety, especially on West Street, and what that looks like. So that's all good stuff. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to entertain those. If not, we'll move on to the next item. Anything? Okay. Chairman comments number 8. I'm just going to read our preamble for folks in the audience so you all understand. I know this is we're kind of a unique body in town in that we operate differently than other boards and commissions might operate. So I'll just give you an overview of how that goes, and just so you're informed of how this works and aren't surprised by anything that might go on. Good evening again. My name is Bob Hammersley. I'm the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission in Southington. And I want to take a few minutes to explain the meeting format. Aside from immediate agenda items or administrative items, which I just went through and we'll go through at the end of the meeting, tonight's meeting is comprised of two parts, a public hearing and a business meeting. During the public hearing, any applicant who's listed there will present the application to us in detail, which will allow the commission members and the public the opportunity to better understand what is being proposed. The commission members may ask questions during the presentation if needed. Then we will ask members of the public who support or oppose the application to speak. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand. Wait to be recognized by myself. Once you're recognized, come forward to the podium right up there. Give us your name and address for the record. And please address all comments directly through myself and not to the applicant or other members of the public. Be advised that this is your opportunity to ask questions and make comments on the application, because once a public hearing is closed, no additional testimony from the public or the applicant will be permitted. And it's important to maintain order and decorum at all times during that portion of the meeting as well as the rest of the meeting. I will also add to that during a public hearing, once an application is submitted to the Planning and Zoning Commission and throughout the public hearing, no member of the commission, any of us sitting up here and the people who are not here, are not allowed to have a conversation about that application outside of this process. We are legally obligated to only talk about it here, so everything goes on the record. After everyone has had a full opportunity to speak, all questions have been answered, and all information has been received, we will decide whether it is appropriate to close the hearing. We will not consider voting on an application until the business meeting. During the business meeting, the commission will deliberate on applications submitted and decide how to act on them. We may take one of four different options. One, we may approve the application as submitted. Two, we may approve it with stipulations, conditions, or modifications. Three, we may table an application for a future meeting. Or four, and in some cases, we may deny an application. 4 affirmative votes of the commission are generally required to approve an application. If you have to leave the meeting before a decision is rendered, you can call the planning department, Jeremy down at the end here, tomorrow afternoon to get the results from tonight's meeting. So with that, we'll open up the public hearing. Item 9A, Allison Marquin Everlast Energy LLC, special permit application to build a ground-mounted solar array of 104 panels, property located at 340 Winding Ridge, Zone R80, SPU 696. The applicant has requested a table on this item, so if we can get a motion to table that.
So moved.
Commissioner Britton with a motion. Do we have a second?
Make a second to table SPU 696.
Commissioner Coles with a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 9B, Joseph Marinella, special permit application for a parent and grandparent apartment, property located at 88 Arlington Drive, zoned in R2025. This is SPU 697. If the applicant can come up and just let us know what your plans are. Yep, absolutely. Again, just start off by identifying your name and your address for us so that we can get it on the record, please.
Yeah, my name is Joseph Madalena. My address is 88 Arlington Drive. This is my mother, Robin Madalena. Her address is 170 Rolling Hill Lane. We both inherited the house from my grandmother, her mother, when she passed in 2019. And my parents are aging now, and my father is retired, and we want to consolidate resources and provide a home for my kids, too, and have her help out with my kids. I took care of my grandmother as she was aging, and I'm an RN, so I saw how that went. So I anticipate the situation similar with my parents, and I want to keep them out of a nursing home as long as possible. So we figure we'll consolidate resources and put on a grandparent apartment for them in the house that she grew up in here in Southington. So I will be the third generation to live in the house. And we think it's just the best way to go for our family. We looked at other homes. My children, I have 3 kids. We walk to school, elementary school in the morning, my daughter, and we looked around town for another home that provided a similar experience for them, a safe walking distance, and we didn't find anything that we wanted, so we like the neighborhood we're in, and we want to stay there.
So does your mother want to say anything, or did we get your name on the record? I can't remember.
Robin Madalena.
Robin, right.
Yes. So I am interested in moving back to the house that I own now, my parents' house. My father originally built it, and in the 60s, and I will be the 4th person in our neighborhood to come back and live at their parents' house. I have two people tonight with me who are my neighbors as well that they'll talk about. But I just like to help them out with the kids. They have small children, and as you all know, daycare's a lot of money, and instead of driving across town to the other side of town to deliver kids back and forth, we just decided to consolidate households. And also, I would prefer to live with an RN. I'm lucky to have him.
Good guy, it sounds like, huh?
He's a good guy, and his wife is wonderful.
I put her through a lot when I was a kid.
Making up for it.
This may be payback.
Yeah, well, probably not as much, but I hear what you're saying. Okay, anything else to add before I open it up to commission members for questions? Nothing?
No.
No?
We have
Okay.
two members who are in support, two neighbors. who are in
They'll get an opportunity in a minute, but let's open it up to commission members first. Does anyone on the commission have any questions of the applicant?
So,
Caleb, go.
so how many square feet are we gonna be adding?
About 1,600.
What's the existing square footage of the house?
1,200, but we're gonna add square footage onto the house to the main living area. So we're taking the kitchen from one side of the house, putting it on the other. We're putting mine and my wife's bedroom downstairs. And we're putting it in a common mudroom area and an office for me, a home office for me, because at times I work from home.
Okay. And then you're also adding a two-car garage?
Well, we're gonna put a slab now, but we're gonna put a slab for a two-car garage going up.
So there's the 1,600 square feet for the addition,
Yeah,
plus how many square feet for the garage?
I think that's about 800 square feet, but that's separate, the garage is set back. It's a
Right.
separate structure.
So you'll see where I'm going with this question in a second. That's a lot of square footage to cover up ground. You have a very small property, R25. So my concern is with the added roof and for both structures, and then the mudroom, I think you're gonna be adding that onto, right? And then the driveway, you're
Yep.
gonna have a lot of impervious soil that you're gonna have to deal with some water. So that's my big concern. I guess it ties into, and I guess the health department's already approved it, but you have a septic and well there, or is that on city?
No,
City.
It is good. That's good news. So I guess my question would be, is there in part of this plan a way to mitigate some of that runoff so that it doesn't affect your neighbors?
Yeah, my sister-in-law is actually the architect, and she put it in, they had a question about that. She put it into the plans that the downspouts from the gutters all run into the ground through a crushed stone. There'll be fabric, crushed stone. There'll be plenty of area to run off into the ground. And along the side of the house, when they build the house, our construction guys have a plan to, however it turns out on site, to have the water run off into the street, into the gutter area.
So we're looking to discharge it into the city storm sewer?
Most of it should discharge into the ground in the yard, and there will be additional runoff area to run down into the city sewer, yeah,
Okay, and the topography would allow for that to go from,
absolutely.
sorry, I got the,
There's a slight elevation in our backyard.
Yep.
You can't see it from the plans, but the yard does slightly elevate from the back, so there is runoff.
so it goes from east to
Yes,
west?
from east to west.
I see. Okay.
We've never had water problems in the home.
These days?
No, actually, yesterday, I thought it was gonna start coming in, and it hasn't.
Good, thank God, okay.
Yeah. We don't have a sump pump,
Never needed one.
never needed one.
And then, I guess to that point then, the garage is gonna be on a slab.
Yep.
But the expansion of the house, that's gonna be on a basement or on slab also?
Partially on a slab, partially on a basement. The basement will expand slightly, but then my parents, from the area that goes into the mudroom and the kitchen, but then on my parents, there's gonna be just a crawl space
Okay.
underneath.
All right, I'm good for now, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from members of the commission or the applicant at this time? All right, unless you have something else to add, I'm going to open it up to the public, and we'll get them to tell us what their thoughts are.
Thank you.
All right? So if there's anyone who'd like to talk on this application, please come up to the podium. Just start off by giving your name and address, please, and we'll let us know what you think. Go ahead.
Scott Volk, 87 Arlington Drive. I live across the street from them. Basically, I looked at the property, looked at his plans and everything, and I have no problems with them putting an addition in the neighborhood. Their plan is great for the family, so I approve it. That's all I can say.
Okay, thanks, Scott. Next.
Good evening. My name is Chad Volk, 434 Berlin Street here in Southington, co-owner of the property at 87 Arlington Drive across the street. Much like my brother stated, I have no objection to the plan, very supportive of what they're doing, and I am a big proponent, too, of bringing family back into the neighborhood. So that's my statement. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Chad. Anyone else would like to testify on this application at this time? Does the applicant want to add anything before we close the public hearing on this? Silence is good, you know? Okay, is there any objection to closing the public hearing on this agenda item? No? We'll close the public hearing on that. We'll move on to item 9C, Lovely Development, Inc., special permit application to construct an age-restricted housing development, property located at 347 and 349 Marion Avenue and a portion of 153 Pine Street, zoned in an art zone, SPU 698. Could we take both of these two items up at once, just for convenience? So we'll take up item 9D as well, which is Lovely Development Site Plan Application for a proposed 27 units of age-restricted homes, property located again at 347, 349, and a portion of 153 Pine Street. This is an art zone, SPR 1884. Sed Bravino, the floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commission members. My name is Seth Bovino, planner of Craftsman Johnson Associates. The map on the screen for orientation purpose, this is Marion Avenue at this location here. That's where the entrance is going to be to the project. North is up to the right of the sheet. So you have west and east to the Diana Road neighborhood here. We have wetlands to the north in this area here. The property is located at 347, 349 Marion Avenue, and portion of that property is also located on 153 Pine Street. 153 Pine Street comes from here to this location here. It is served by public water and sewer. Recently, the applicant received approval for an overlay zone, which is the Arch development. This is the second step in the process. We're applying now for a special permit and a site plan for the site to actually move to the construction phase. The number of units proposed are 27 units. It's an over 55 community under section 3-09.23. The layout shows the proposed road with two cul-de-sacs, and the requirements under the regulation for property to be allowed to have this kind of development is 5 acres. We're providing 10.8 acres. The number of units maximum allowed on the project is 5 units per acre. We are proposing 2.4 units per acre, so we're proposing less units. The impervious area allowed will be 50%. We propose 26.9%. We also provide more than the 20% green space required. We are providing 38.9% equals to 4.34 acres of green space, which include this open space here. A walking path is provided from Marion Avenue through the project to Pine Street to allow people to walk. The proposal is a two-phase plan. We have phase 1, which goes into this area here, and phase 2 for the rest. It includes 3 units for workforce housing. It is required that we provide 10% of the number of units for workforce housing, so we provide 3 units. We have submitted to the planning department the lighting plan, the photomatic plan, which indicates there's no light spillage to the neighbor's property around the perimeter of the property. Landscape, we provided extensive landscaping around the structures. There's the detail on the landscaping plan to the top of the sheet. And we also provide landscaping, street trees and landscaping around the trees at certain location, not every tree, but in certain location where we have the space to create an additional landscaping area. There's a detail next to the house detail here. There's a detail for that. In addition to that, we have proposed buffer to fill in the buffer around the perimeter of the property where it's needed. The site is wooded, heavily wooded, but around the perimeter there are areas they may need additional plantings, which we are proposing. There will be a double row of evergreens, and the detail is provided on the upper side of the plant. The special permit requires a notification to the property owners within 500 feet. We have done that, and the proof of mailing was provided to the town planner. All the utilities will be underground, and a traffic statement was provided the last time to the planning department, and it was resubmitted. And the traffic engineer is here, Scott Haskin, in case you have any questions. We have the proposed units are ranch-style units, single-story, and they are 20-foot maximum height. We provided a plan to the fire department to show that the fire truck can make the radius. To show that the fire truck can make the movement around these cul-de-sacs without having a problem in coming out. The water department has provided comments. We responded in writing and revised the plans to accommodate their comments. They sent a letter indicating there's appropriate water volume here at this location. The drainage system is designed to achieve desired requirements. That's in your regulations. We received staff comments. We responded to the comments in writing. The drainage system is provided in the back of these units here, and we then take this drainage and through pipes and catch basins eventually ends up in the wetland area in this corner. There's a drainage on this property. It's an industrial property that discharges currently in our property. We're going to intercept that drainage and pipe it to the drainage system through our property into the wetlands. If you have any questions at this time, be glad to answer, or we'll have the traffic engineer go over the traffic questions if you have any questions.
Okay. I see Mark behind you. I don't know if he wants to add something before.
Take this.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and fellow commissioners. Mark Lovely with offices at 710 Main Street. A couple more things I just wanted to note over here. There's some questions last time. We did put a solid vinyl fence going in here and all the way along this property line as well. We did propose a sidewalk up at the road here. And then what we're doing, you'll see we're showing them here, but anywhere along this sign, we're required to leave a 20-foot buffer, but there is pine trees there, so our plan is to plant anything that's barren that you could see through, is to put more pine trees in there to block those in. Same thing up in this area here too, where you see coming around here. Just want to make a note of that. And grading around this perimeter of this, there's really no change in grades, and we're meeting the zero for the zero increase in runoff too.
Okay. Anything else before we open it up?
Nope.
Questions of the commission members?
I have one question before we continue.
Caleb? Hey, Caleb, before you start, I just want to go back to something. I got a text from Nick Tedesco that he's not going to be here tonight, so we'll see Commissioner Gaida in his place this evening. But with that, Caleb, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess this is a question maybe for Jeremy. The testimony that was given in our last hearing about the zone change, is that considered submission into this application?
No. I mean, testimony for the zone change, there was a lot of stuff that was brought up with regard to the site plan last time around, but that's part of that record, and we have a new record which starts tonight.
Fair enough. Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Okay. Anything else? Not right now?
I'll wait.
Okay. Anyone else from the commission have any questions of the applicant at this time? Before, 1 second, Kat. I will say, maybe relative to where you're going there, Caleb, is that my intent here tonight on this application is to leave the public hearing open in consideration of vacation schedules that people in the public may have, as well as other commission members. And I think, too, that the application, based on the amount of testimony that we heard at our last meeting, that the application, people may need a little bit more lead time other than, the Friday before when we threw the agenda out there, as we're required to do, to sort of gather up if they want to come here and give us some testimony. So we'll come back here at our next meeting on September 3rd with this public hearing still active. But with that, Kat, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So thank you for including a 10% affordable aside in this, but I have a question. What if it were 5 units?
Your regulations, and Mark Lovely again from Lovely Development, your regulations require 10%, and it doesn't make sense with this type of product to be able to do. Is a product I'm trying to work with the town to bring in that would be more at 20%, but you'd need more density to do it. These are more luxury type units. You'd have to go a lot smaller and a lot skinnier and make it a totally different type of development to do that.
The 10% is a minimum.
Yes.
All right.
Kat, can you speak a little bit closer to the mic?
I said 10% is a minimum.
It's true.
Thank you.
But an important minimum, I might suggest. But, yeah. Rob,
Could you just address the open space? What's that going to look like? On the map, it just looks green. What's going to be in that space?
Basically, right now, there's no children that can reside in here under 18 years old, so there's no really impact on the school system with this. So basically, what happens is the owners association will maintain that green space. It'll be all in common. Our plan is, let me see that thing. Get the pointer. Our plan is when we come out to Pine Drive, what we wanted to do, there's a park up in here on Pine Drive, so we wanted to maintain a footpath to be able to have people be able to get to that park. So say they did watch grandkids and stuff like that, if they wanted to be able to walk to the park, they can. And the plan is for the association to mow this area here. The rest of it will all stay natural. So what happens is in this aspect, with the 13-lot development, we only needed about 3/4 of an acre in open space, where here we have almost 4 acres with this type of development. So we're saving a quite more bit of land.
So if I understand it, it's going to be mostly grass?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
all set? 1 second, Caleb. Anyone else have any comments before Caleb? Just one quick one. Yep.
Yes,
Todd.
so Mark, I assume the association is going to be responsible for that walking, like maintenance of that walking path, not the town?
Yes, they will.
All set? Jamie, anything right now? No? Caleb, go ahead.
Just a follow-up question on what Commissioner Caird was asking about workforce development housing. How is that managed?
Basically, what happens is we've already submitted a affordability plan to the town as part of this application, and we have Jason Berardino, which handles that. They have to be vetted by him to be able to qualify, and then he sends all the information to the state. Then we get a letter back to him stating that we can sell to this person, that they meet the qualifications. So it's not like we just qualify them. It has to go through a rigorous progress to be able to let them be able to buy.
So how does the process then happen if that person wants to turn around and sell it within 2 years?
Still has to be under the affordable guidelines, and the association in the bylaws has that those select units, which we have 1, 16, and 19, that have to stay as affordable, and they have to submit to Jason again to get approval for that buyer that comes in too.
Who's Jason?
Jason Berardino is the guy that runs an affiliate for the state, that he's the one that qualifies the people.
Okay, so his office.
His office, exactly. Yep, and he gets the letter from the state saying that they're qualified. Just to give you a basic idea, unfortunately, remember we did Kingsbridge off of South End Road? We just went through the process and helped them out because somebody unfortunately did pass away in one of the affordable units and they had to sell it, their children, so they went through the process and sold that too.
So it's kind of like a lien on the land record.
100% right. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yep.
thank you for explaining that.
All set?
Yes, sir.
Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to ask a couple questions. One, just in response to, and to put it on the record, I think that everybody understands this, but there's still an outstanding question about wetlands permit between you and the planning department, correct?
Yes, we got some comments back from engineering last week, and we are working on those. That's so we have no problem keeping the public hearing open. We just have to verify some grading that we have behind the units up in here for that reasoning. Because our plan was not to stay with the, was always to stay with the original wetlands approval.
Okay. Is that your understanding too, Jeremy, just for the record?
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
And again, we're going to leave the public hearing open on this, so hopefully, knock on wood, perhaps that could be resolved before we come back here in 2 weeks. We'll see.
That's our plan.
Yeah, we got Labor Day in between there too, so, who
Exactly.
knows? Just staying on staff comments, the Water Department made a couple comments which you responded to. I just want to make sure that engineering, which it seems to be the correct group to look at that, and make sure that they're okay with the responses that they got back from you all on the comments from the Water Department.
I did report that back to the planning department to put in their file, and just to confirm with them that outstanding items are addressed, so. I'm happy that
Okay.
it's left open just to review my checklist, which I got, and I was off yesterday due to illness, so. I'll be getting into those along with the drainage.
Okay, and we can come back on the 3rd
Yep.
and get more input. Okay, I
We'll
appreciate that.
certainly
Thank you.
address that before the next meeting.
Thank you, Jim. I was looking at the responses and like my engineering light went off and I'm like, I don't quite understand what they're talking about, but I assume that the 2 engineers could talk to each other and figure it out. Maybe 3 engineers if you count Scott as well, so. Okay, one of the issues that came up during the previous, proposed zone change was the issue of the buffer. The buffer between this property and site and the folks that live along Diana Road there on is that the eastern end? Seth?
Yes,
Am
that
I-
would be the
am I
eastern end of the
location there?
property up against the houses that abut Diana Drive.
And there's a requirement per regulations for a buffer of a certain density throughout the perimeter of this development, correct?
100% correct. With the original 13 lots that was approved there was no buffer that is included in that, but with this type of arch zone, there's a requirement of a 20-foot buffer along here and along here on the property that are abutting properties.
Okay, I heard mention of the density of that buffer, that you're gonna try to plant some additional pine trees in that area. Any removal of any vegetation within that buffer at all planned?
Only thing would be cleaning it up. If some stuff has fallen and dead and stuff like that, we would clean it up before we planted the new trees. But anything that's in that 20-foot buffer will stay there and not be touched.
And the types of trees that are planned to be planted there to sort of increase the density, if you will, the visible density anyways, those are outlined in your plans, correct?
Yes, they are. They're right up here.
And those have been reviewed by your planning department, correct? And the consensus is that those will be healthy vegetation that's going to exist there, correct? We're not going to deal with plants that are going to end up dying because they're not getting enough light or water or anything like that, or soil's not compatible with what we're planning, correct?
Correct, and we can put it into some of the bond requirements if need be. for
Okay,
certain-
I just want to make sure that the buffer there provides what the intent of the regulation is to the residents that live on the outskirts of this planned development. Other than that, I don't have any other additional questions at this time. Any other questions from members of the commission? If I see none, then I'll give you one more shot to say what you want to say, and we're going to open it up to members of the public.
Would you like any testimony from Scott Hethkus? He is here for traffic.
It's your application,
Yeah,
Mark, if you
okay.
want. He's got to make your bill legitimate, Scott, so you got to come up and say something.
I think you opened the door, Chairman, when you said 3 engineers previously, so we'll put a little blame on you on that one. For the record, Scott Hesketh, we submitted the report or letter dated July 19th, 2024 for the application. If you recall, when we were here for the previous applications, we talked about the comparison between this development and the previous development. And our letter just reasserts that. The proposed development here of the 27 age-restricted units is projected to generate a total of 14 trips during the morning peak hour and 16 trips during the afternoon peak hour. And those volumes were very similar to the previous subdivision approval. Therefore, since the previous development had approvals, there was no need for us to conduct capacity analysis calculations because the results would be similar. In fact, since the previous development had access through Pine Street and not directly to Marion Avenue, we expect that the impacts for this particular development will be less because the the addition of the Pine Street traffic as well would have had more difficulty getting on up to Marion Avenue between the two developments. So we expect good levels of service, and we expect that the site-generated traffic will not impact operations significantly.
Okay.
Short, sweet, to the point.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Any questions of the members of the commission? I have a couple more of the applicant, if I could just bring them up as Scott was talking, and just triggered my memory of a couple of things. One is, are there any renderings of these units that you can show us what these might look like? If not now, can you make sure you have those for our September meeting, please?
Yeah, we should be able. These are the type of units that we have. There's different models,
Can you increase the size of that for me, just so we can see it?
You're not increasing.
Up at the top there.
I wear
Don't even
glasses,
think-
but they're not that good.
Go here. Go here. Let's see. Yep, plus. Is it going up? Let's see. Can't see.
Fan over.
Guys, if you just go up to the top toolbar and the plus thing there, you can increase the size of it right there.
Yep. Let me see.
No,
I can't see the little this arrow.
get out of that.
Get out of that now.
You gotta go this way.
Should be bigger
You
now.
see this right here?
Yeah.
See that plus right there? Hit that. Now you want to move the.
Yep.
Scroll over.
Scroll over, yep. This thing is like, I'll like go over here and this thing doesn't move very.
Try to catch it with.
Go ahead, click it, there you go.
There you go.
Now bring it up, or down, rather.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, it doesn't slide. This thing is not sliding the best. This thing.
Now, I think you want to see this right here, right?
Yep.
So you're gonna have to go up. Well,
There you go.
that's
They're,
good,
they're
that's
pretty
fine.
much,
Okay.
from the outside, these are the exact, Mark Lovely from Lovely Development again. These are the same exact units that we've built over at Kings Ridge and Muirfield Estates. There's three different models. One's 1,444 square feet, one is 1,537 square feet, and one is 1,610. Basic differences where you see the shaded in the green in the back's just bumped out, and then in the larger plan, the side is just bumped out a little bit. That's the differences.
And what's your guess on the real estate asking price for these units that you're targeting? What's your price point on
They
them?
will be under 500,000. They're probably going to start around 469 to 479.
Okay, and all of them will be consistent in terms of size and color and that type of thing, correct?
We do 14 different colors. We don't let any two of the same colors go next to each other, so it looks more like a residential community instead of a condo community.
Okay.
So we don't allow any of the two exact same colors to go next to each other, and we have 14 different colors.
Okay, first come, first served then, right?
100% right.
Yeah. Affordable housing requirements, you're required to add 10% with 27 units. My calculations show that's 2.7 units. I'm not quite sure we've mastered how to get 0.7 of a unit, so you're up to 3, which actually has you exceeding that requirement, correct?
Yes, that's 3, goes up to the 3, because at 2.7 you round up. And the other thing is too, when you do those affordable units, there's no difference in quality. Quality is exactly the same as a standard unit. That
Okay.
quality cannot change at all.
And just relative to questions that were raised by Commissioner Coles earlier, with regards to what I'll call administrative items relative to these affordable units, you've done this before.
Yes,
You've done this in Southington before.
yes.
You've had to include affordable units in an art zone development in Southington before.
Yes, we've had 2 at Kingsridge Estates and 2 at Muirfields Estates.
And you've run into issues, I think you noted one, you've run into issues where the affordable unit had to be transferred over to somebody else.
Yes.
Because of some circumstance, whether it's they move or something else happens.
Yes.
Has it ever presented a problem to you in terms of meeting that requirement of having those units maintained as affordable units?
Nope, not at all.
And are you allowed to change those units at any point into non-affordable units?
No, it's
Market rate
actually, I
units?
think you guys have on your agenda, I think it's almost a 40-year restriction, but we put in there that it's lifetime in the condo docs.
Okay.
Yep.
Lifetime to the unit, not lifetime to the person.
100% correct to the
Okay.
unit.
Okay. Any additional questions for members of the commission before we open it up? Rob?
So on the southeast side, where the entrance will be from Marion Avenue,
Yes,
you stated that you're going to add fences along the side.
yes.
Is there any fences or anything that you're going to have to remove in order to put those in for the neighbors?
They're gonna be on our property, so there's no fencing that's on our property right now that has to be. It might be on a abutting property, but we're gonna put it just inside our property line.
And that's still going to be within, so that fence, just so I'm clear, the buffer, the 20-foot buffer that you're advertising,
Yes.
that's going to be, where's that fence on that buffer? It's going to be on the inside?
Let me see, you got the pointer? Seth? Oh, let me go back.
Close to the property line.
Yeah, you can go back to the other one. Let me see.
Let me see, so-
So it's going to be on the residence property line?
Yeah, yes. So I'll show you. Oh, let's reduce it. Go back there.
Yeah.
Reduce or zoom now?
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Okay, let's just go up.
Oh, that's easier to see.
Use this to-
Yeah.
It's moving better the other way.
Oh, just,
Keep on going.
just reduce it some more.
It's buffering, you just have to wait for it.
Yeah. Huh.
Shove it.
Don't you have a fence on the west side there as well?
Yeah, it'll clear up in a minute. So basically what happens is where the entrance is right here, we'll move this over, Seth, for me. Move that over. There we go. So basically right here, when you come in, let's get that over a little bit more. Oh, that's down, just go over here.
Yes, just scroll left.
What the heck? Stupid thing. Go here, let me see.
There you go.
Okay, basically, so where we are right in here, right up against this property line, all against here will be the fencing here, and then up on this side will be all fencing right here, so these neighbors on each side get all privacy. So basically, we have a sidewalk that comes in right here, we're installing a sidewalk along Marion Avenue. This is the sidewalk to the development throughout the network of the development. So just on the other side of that sidewalk, right along the property line will be fencing here, and right along the property line will be fencing here.
Okay, so no natural barrier.
Exactly. There's not really room for natural barrier there, but we are putting a fence up instead of that.
Okay.
Yep.
And what's the height of that fence?
That'll be 6 feet.
6 feet tall? Okay. All right, before we open, Caleb,
Sorry. Stop me if I'm overstepping, because I think we're good with what the question I'm about to ask. So, in the minutes from our last meeting, when we approved the zone change, and I can read the specific language, but essentially it says that the I zone will follow along with 389 Marion Avenue, straight through from south to north. I just want to assure that we're following with that approval, and that the westernmost building on that property is within that zone. Follow me?
The westernmost is within our R2025 zone, not in the I1 zone.
Yes.
Yep.
So that, on the map, it just looks, it's
It's
far away.
close, because remember we bet that line
Oh, it's
right
there.
straight across.
It's
Yeah,
there.
yep.
Okay.
We could have put an angle point, but I discussed it with the planner, and decision was made to stay with what the commission was discussing. We went straight north,
Okay,
and the unit is outside of that line.
thank you.
all set, Caleb?
Yes.
Everything,
Yeah, I
everyone
do
else?
have one quick
Oh,
question.
Todd, go ahead.
Just curious, is there any type of like rubric or guidance that dictates which houses are the affordable ones versus not? Or like, how is that selected? More of a curiosity.
They're labeled on the plan.
Seth, can you talk into the mic a little bit closer, please? I can't.
Yeah, the affordable units are labeled on the plan. Maybe Mark can point out to them.
Says AU.
Oh, okay.
Also, per your regulations, those cannot be next to each other, so they have to be sprinkled throughout the development.
Okay, so you just gotta pick ones that are like, say, not.
Exactly,
Oh, okay.
yep. So we did unit 1, then we did unit 16 over here, then over in here, we did 19, so they're sprinkled in different areas.
Got it, so every few,
Yep.
okay.
Okay, members of the commission all set? All right, let's open it up to members of the public. I will start out with anyone who'd like to testify in favor of this application, please come to the podium. Again, just start with your name and your address, please.
John Mann, I'm at 125 Dana Road. Couple questions that still aren't answered. One is sewer. If the sewer is going to come up Marion Avenue, where does it connect, and how long is it proposed to tear up Marion Avenue? That's a very busy street. Just this afternoon, I tried to get out at 5:30 from Diana onto Marion. It took me 10 minutes, just that much traffic. So you're going to add more houses and demolition down that road. Second, has anyone done environmental impact for endangered species? We have cottontails all over the neighborhood. They are endangered in Connecticut. Question on that drainage. I know this past week we had a wonderful storm. Just in our own neighborhood, we had a lot. You're going to shove all that water into that blue area? It seems kind of strange. That's it.
Okay. Hey, John, before you leave, I think that some of those items, and Jeremy, correct me if I'm wrong or not, but I don't want you to think about it too much, or that isn't the right term, but I think some of those items are still outstanding with the planning department and the water permitting, correct?
The sewer, I think, is labeled on the plan, and I'll let Sev get to that when we get back around to him. The endangered species, we'll check in on that, but I believe a NDDB request was submitted to DEEP as part of the application, and then drainage, we'll talk about that as well. I know Jim's been looking at that.
It's on
When
our
is that
radar.
information going to be made public?
So if you go to our website, everything that we have so far is on the website.
Okay. Thanks, John, for coming out. Appreciate your comments. Anyone else like to testify in favor of this application at this time? Anyone like to testify in opposition to this application at this time? Yep, come on up, sir. Again, start with your name and address, please. And I'll just, while he's walking up to the podium, just remind folks that we're going to keep this public hearing open, and we'll have another session on September 3rd to take additional public input. Sir,
Hi,
go ahead.
My name is Tom Parent. I'm at 109 Catherine Lane in Planceville.
Go ahead, Tom.
Well, the gentleman that's with Mr. Lovely there said that the runoff, and it's going to be running into the wetlands. My property, I have a lot of acreage of wetlands. I just don't want a flood going into my house, and it's already a flood going on there now with the much rain we're getting and everything. This is going to be excessive drainage into the wetlands. It's going to be I got a swamp there now. I got animals that they should be in Australia. It looks like Australia, my property. It's a mess, okay? They're draining part of, I think it's Diana, into my property. It's just allowing this. My wife passed away. I've been sick. You know, this is just, you're just utilizing my property as a swamp. Just drain the whole town into my property, you know? They got a detention pond on my garage. That's a mess. They didn't clean, Merrick just cleaned it out this year after 9 years. And all the bats, I don't want to talk about these bats anymore, but it's an infestation of thousands of bats that bit me. And I can't withstand any more rabies vaccinations. It's just a mess. You know, and I get attacked by bobcats. I have Scott, what's his name there, Carabin up my property all the time, the animal control. He says this is a mess. He said they should have cleaned that detention pond out years ago. And it's just he cleaned it out, but it's just too late now.
Tom, what's your address again?
109 Catherine Lane in Planceville.
Catherine Lane?
Catherine, Kathryn Lane,
Okay.
yep.
I'm just curious, because I know you were here a month ago, and you
Yeah,
talked
yep.
a little bit about it as well, on where this is, and just sort of, I want to take a look at the map. and
Yeah, it
just
goes,
get an
it's at the
idea.
end of the cul-de-sac, and you turn your head to the left, and I have a 200-foot driveway.
Okay.
I got a house on each side of my driveway. Della Vecchia's here, and Carlone is over here, and that's about it, you know?
Okay.
It's private, but you can't live there. I never even filled up my pool because there's too many wild animals there. Can't have my grandchild over. My daughter won't even come up from New Jersey to see me because she said that the animals are violent. I just had an animal in the garage the other day. They had to come up, you know, he said that that's dangerous. They attack you.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. I mean, I just don't want the he said the runoff into the wetlands there. I just don't want my property being swamped out again, and might as well just put a river there, man, just put a basin there, you know? I mean, I'm getting taxed for something that I shouldn't even be taxed for. You can't use my property, it's garbage.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be paying taxes on this. This is a disaster.
Yeah, we're not the body politic to determine whether you should pay taxes or not.
Well, I mean,
That's
not on
that's
the
someone
house,
else,
but on the property, it's non-usable.
I understand, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Caleb, did you have something?
Tom, I got a question. I recall you coming in last time and about the bats,
Yeah.
but the thing that did stick in my mind, and the reason why I asked that first question about the previous testimony is, but now you're here and you talked about it, so I could bring it up again. The retention pond that you have on your property, that's to the north, correct? So if you're
It's-
looking at the front of your house, it's
Yes.
to the left side?
Yeah.
All right. And this might be a question for staff, but that retention pond is being fed by Diana?
No, it's Catherine. Supposedly, somebody said that part of Diana's running into my property on the other side, the east side. I says, what's going on here? Some zoning guy was telling me, and I says, I don't know what's going on. I don't even go up in the woods there because it's so dangerous.
Yeah. No, I saw an easement that comes from Diana and it goes westward. And I didn't know if you had mentioned that. I wanted to make sure that that wasn't adding to it too.
Yeah, I just don't want to have a problem with, when he said the runoff is good. I hope it don't run off into my property, that's all.
Sure, that's certainly a concern, I'm sure, of everybody up here to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Thank
But,
you. I appreciate it.
Are you responsible for the maintenance of that retention pond, or how is that?
The
That's the
is-
town?
Yeah, Merrick just cleaned it out. They ju-
How recently was that done?
last year.
And then with our most recent storm on Sunday?
Oh, it's pretty.
It's full?
Oh, it's deep.
Did it go over the top? Did it
No,
flood the area? No, it
No.
was able to maintain with all that rain?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you very,
Yeah,
thank you, I
just want,
appreciate it.
I appreciate
Yeah.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks for coming out. Anyone else would like to testify in opposition to this application at this time? Okay. You want to close it out for now, Mark?
Let me get rid of this, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, would you like me to comment on any of those before we table?
Feel free to.
Okay.
We're going to be back here in 2 weeks, so.
Okay. I'll just do it quick for you.
Go
So
ahead.
the sewer is coming in from Marion Avenue. It's from the north side of Marion Avenue from the center, so all of Marion Avenue will not have to be blocked off to tie into it. As far as endangered species, I think that was a question at the last meeting too, and we did check, and I think that was checked back when they did the 13-lot subdivision, and there was nothing there at that time. As far as drainage, we do have drainage and storage in the road. We have a storage on the back of here, so it's really any overflow that's going on here, so all the water is not coming down to this area. And then also, every home has individual gutter drains that will go into the ground near them, not go into that drainage system as well.
Okay. Any other questions from members of the commission? All right, again, we're going to leave this public hearing open, and we'll be back here on the 3rd of September on that one. Moving on to item 9E, Jack Perry, special permit application to construct a garage in excess of 3 spaces, property located at 153 Moore Hill Drive, zoned in an R40 SPU 699. This application has been withdrawn, so I don't think we have any further action that we need to take on this. Moving into the business meeting here, item 10A, I'm not going to read it. This applicant has requested a table on this, so can we get a motion to table on this? So moved. Commissioner Britton with a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second. Commissioner Guido with a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 10B, Joseph Marinella, special permit application for a parent-grandparent apartment property located at 88 Arlington Drive, zoned R 2025. This is SPU 697. Discussion. I will just say that the memo that we got from staff beforehand asked for a stipulation on this one. just to read it right here, it says, any decision should include a stipulation that the applicant work with the engineering department on compliance with the stormwater requirements before the issuance of a zoning permit. So if we're going to get a motion, it might be best to include that as part of that motion, but Commissioner Britton.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve SPU 697 with the stipulation that they work with engineering on compliance with the stormwater requirements before the issuance of the zoning permit.
Okay, so we have a motion. Is there a second on that motion? Commissioner Ma with a second. Is there any discussion, any further discussion on this? I wish you all luck. You got a good son.
I know.
So, thank you and appreciate all that. We're not done yet. We still got to vote, but just give us a second here. So, Jeremy, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Coles?
Yes.
Commissioner Britton?
Yes.
Commissioner Sewell?
Yes.
Commissioner Gaida?
Yes.
Commissioner Ma?
Yes.
Commissioner Jablonski?
Yes.
Chair Hammersley?
Hammers is a yes. Motion carries 7-0. Congratulations. Best of luck to you. Item 10C and D both have open public hearings, so we won't take those up tonight. Item 10E has been withdrawn, so we won't take that up. Item 10F, DZ Inc. LLC, site plan modification application to expand parking area, property located at 29 and 93 Industrial Drive. This is in an I-1 zone, SPR 1882. Mr. Judas, the floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commission members. For the record, Stephen Judas with Cole Civil and Survey, 876 South Main Street in Plantsville. I have a pretty minor request here. We had been in before you recently for a building addition for the DZ Ice, a facility on Industrial Drive. This is a property at 93 Industrial Drive. It's an industrial zone. The existing DZ Ice building was located here. We had recently proposed an addition to that DZ Ice with a little connector here, loading docks. And at that time, we had proposed the parking lot in this configuration. The applicant owned an additional building lot here. So what we've done is we're proposing to combine that additional building lot with this parcel here and then expand this parking to allow the parking of tractor trailers on the facility. We have some drainage improvements that were originally in this location. We moved them back to this location in order to accommodate runoff and stormwater quality and so on. There was a wetland in this location on this lot. We're staying outside of that upland review area. And then there's a storm drainage easement that runs along this area that we are also avoiding. We did receive some comments from staff. We went through and addressed those comments, I believe, satisfactorily. And I'm here to answer any questions that you might have for me.
Okay. Any questions for members of the commission on this one? I'll tell you a little story, Steve. I took my son out, my 11-year-old son out on a little tour of Southington when I go around and look at applications and I do a tour, and this is up by the Captain Lewis area. And I took him up there and I'm explaining to him everything about how this is an industrial zone and how industrial zones are great for the town of Southington, blah, 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 and all these questions. I came upon this property, which is the ice making.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
So we started to talk about that a little bit. We were down in Hammonasset last week and we saw an ice house out there. I go, hey, remember that ice house that we saw up in Southington? They make ice for this facility right here. So I brought it all together for him. So, but
I thought maybe you were going to say there's usually a mound of shavings in the parking lot. It looks like it just snowed sometimes over there.
No, they were building the building. They're building the
Yeah.
addition out there. So I saw the beams were up. I don't
great.
think they had the exterior built on it yet, but
It's moving along quickly, yeah.
yeah.
Ice
As-
is a big
as things
business, I
will,
guess.
right? It's all about business, so you
Yep.
need that anyways. Caleb, you have something? Sorry.
Yeah, real quick. So the stormwater easement at the east of the property, are those the retention, are the storm drains tying into that?
So the detention facility actually is located here. It runs southerly along all the building lots on this side. It's a rather large detention basin with 4 bays that then discharge easterly further into other detention basins. So that was designed by my office at the time of the subdivision to accommodate all of the development on this road. So,
The plan in effect.
it's a big structure and it works well.
But any other storage on that pad except for tractor trailers?
Just tractor trailers. Yeah.
Okey dokey. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else from members of the commission? Engineering and planning, one second, Jamie, engineering and planning, your comments have been addressed to your satisfaction, correct?
Ready for action, Mr. Chairman, with engineering.
Okay,
All,
Jeremy?
all set from planning as well, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Jim, you sound like you had a throat issue, so I'll try to, just give me a nod and I'll just acknowledge a nod there, like. Jamie, go ahead.
Thank you. Just a quick comment. I think you did a great job with the plans on this,
Thank you.
and I just wanted to note that for the record.
Thank you very much.
Okay. We all set for a motion on this? Anything else to add, Steve?
That's it.
We're
DZ's
good?
been a good community partner as well. They help us out the Apple Harvest every year, so.
Okay. So we're looking for a motion on this item. Do we have a motion on item number 10F?
I'll make a motion to approve SPR 1882.
Second.
Coles and Swell with a second. Any further discussion? I love this part of town. This is like one of my favorite parts of town. Sadly, I guess, I don't know. Maybe it makes me weird or something, I don't know, but I love it, so.
I like it too, you know why? Because when I come here, you guys are happy to see me, so I enjoy these applications.
I think they do a great job up there. I mean, I've long talked to members of the commission about looking at our industrial sites in town. And if you don't ever get a chance, you know, you don't have to be weird like me, just take a drive. I'll point you to places to go to where you could get a flavor for what our industrial sites look like. This is one of my favorites, though. I think they do a great job up there. It's very clean, and, you know, if you didn't know it was there, you wouldn't know it was there. So it's fabulous. So with that, let's get a roll call, please.
Commissioner Coles?
Yes.
Commissioner Britton?
Yes.
Commissioner Sewell?
Yes.
Commissioner Gaida?
Yes.
Commissioner Ma?
Yes.
Commissioner Chaplinsky?
Yes.
Chair Hammersley?
Hammer's is a yes. Motion passes 7-0. Good job.
Thank you very
Congratulations.
much for your time and consideration.
Item 10G, Comprehensive Real Estate LLC Site Plan Modification Application for proposed 23,660 square foot medical office building known as Beacon Medical Center, or to be known as Beacon Medical Center, property located at 601 North Main Street, zoned in a business zone, SPR 1883. Seb Bravino, the floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commission members. Seth Bovino, planner with Kratzer Jones and Associates, representing the applicant. With me tonight are representatives from La Rosa Construction and Quisenberry Architects. If you have any questions, they'll be here. They'll be available. The property is located at 601, 609 Main Street, served by public water and sewer. The map on the screen for orientation purposes. To the right is Flanders Road, which is north. To the south, to the bottom of the map here, this is North Main Street, which is west. And then to the east, where we have a residential neighborhood here, and we have Stop and Shop project at this location. We have a large power line easement running southeast through the property. Portion of this property is occupied by an existing pharmacy that's been operating for years, and that pharmacy will stay on the property. The property is Zone B, and as I indicated, is a residential R12 zone to the east of the property. We propose a medical building, a two-story medical building, built into the hillside. If you've driven through there, you'll see the grades drop from east to west in this direction. And there's like a flat area here. There's parking, and so we built in this building into the hillside to take advantage of the existing improvements, which are the parking, drainage system, the driveway. We utilize in the same curb cut on Flanders Road. We don't have any access from North Main Street. The footprint of this building is 12,036 square feet. The total square footage is 23,660 square feet. The hours of operation are 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, no Saturday. Total number of doctors that will be here on the site will be 5. The total number of employees between the two operations will be 30. We provided a lighting plan, photometric plan, that shows there is no impact to the neighborhood here in terms of spillage. We are keeping, there's an existing 20-foot buffer here that was built years ago. We're keeping that buffer and actually improve in some areas where there's some gaps in it, which will be in this location and possibly here. And the detail of that buffer is shown on the plans with as 2 rows of evergreens that will be planted. Additional landscaping is proposed around the site. And there's extensive landscaping on Flanders Road, along North Main Street, and the buffer here already. Total number of parking spaces, including the pharmacy parking spaces, is 103, the requirement, and we are proposed 115 parking space. We have provided building elevations for staff and for the commission to view. The height is 32 feet. In this zone, we are allowed up to 40 feet. This is actually a site plan that exists right now. It's an approved plan, which is valid until August 18, 2028. And we're here tonight to make a modification of that site plan, and the modification involved here is we're adding 30 feet of building on the south side at this location here. There used to be parking. We're eliminating the parking and placing additional square footage for the building operation. And because of the loss of parking there, we are adding some parking at this location. So those are the two changes that we are really dealing with. We provide groundwater recharge by directing portion of the roof area here to underground storage units on the northeast side of the building here, and on the southeast side. In this area here, we narrowed the driveway at this location to 12 feet, created an island, and additional green space at that location. SIRE is achieved by installing those two separate underground units, plus there's an existing underground system, a large underground system at this location that was built prior to this application. We are providing hooded catch basins at 2 locations in the parking area here to be able to catch any pollutants that are generated by the parking area. We received staff comments. We addressed the staff comments and provided revised plans to reflect those changes. If you have any questions at this time, I'll be glad to answer. And there are the LaRose Construction, and the architect is here to answer any questions.
Commissioner Britton.
On the south side of the property, appears to be some wetlands, and it looks like you're adding on parking spaces, more impervious spots there. Can you just talk about the grade in that spot and how that water, how it's going to be flowing? Because God forbid we wanted it on North Main Street. So
there is no wetlands on the property, and the proposed parking in this area is in a 5% grade. As you maneuver in the driveway here, it follows the grades, and there's a proposed retaining wall in back of the parking spots because we don't want to go into the Eversource easement more than we have to.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess that's what I was getting at. More of that. What's going to stop the water from flowing off the back of that property? But
The
you're
back
gonna
meaning?
retaining wall. The south side.
The water
Who
is
answered
coming
that?
into the parking area, into the drainage system in the parking area, and eventually goes into the underground storage here. Yep.
You all set, Rob? Okay. Any other questions? Kat?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. My question was about the Eversource easement.
Kat, can you get a little bit closer to the microphone?
Man,
please?
sorry. My question was about the Eversource easement. So it looks like from where I'm sitting, it's going this way, and we're expanding the parking through it. Are there concerns with that? Who do you have to work with?
With Eversource, and we
Eversource.
submitted plans to them, and they are ready to approve the
Okay.
plans.
Okay, thank you.
They have certain stipulations when you work under their power lines, We actually not under the actual wires. We're within the easement, but the wires themselves, they're like in the center of this
Yeah.
easement.
Okay. That's not bad. Thank you.
You all set, Kat?
Yep.
Any other questions from members of the commission?
I got a quick one.
Todd?
Yeah, so is there either a barrier between the medical facility and the pharmacy if there's not an agreement for like shared parking? Is it just to prevent like, potentially over parking from the medical facility into the pharmacy, or how is that kind of designed?
The two properties are owned by the same owner.
So they can be
It's
shared.
one owner.
Okay.
But the parking for the pharmacy is mostly located on the south side here,
Mhm.
and that's where it will stay.
Yeah.
But there's also a shared parking arrangement there. The need for parking, if they have to park, if they need more parking, they can park here.
Okay, so it's basically just agreement that you're gonna park wherever.
Yeah, you can park anywhere you
Okay,
want.
got it, okay,
The two work together.
makes sense.
You all set, that?
Yep, good.
Okay. Jamie?
With that being said, that first building doesn't require a lot of parking. It's mainly a drive-through business.
Pretty much, and it's not a place where you can buy items like a CVS or Walgreens. It's more to get your medication there. Once they call you, say your medication is ready to pick up, you go there and pick it up.
So most of the parking will be the new building.
Yes.
Yeah, and you do have a lot of parking spots. It is a big parcel, and I think it's the perfect location for that size building. And I'm very happy that you didn't add another curb cut onto North Main Street, and that you left it on Flanders. And I have zero concerns with the way that it's set up now with these plans.
Okay. Caleb?
Yep, two quick ones. So with the removal of the initial planned parking space, are you impacting any handicap spaces with that?
No, we actually provide more handicap spaces.
It's you, Seb.
That's a requirement.
And then the only other question I had, and I saw that the fire department did approve the plan, but just for the record, I want to hear that. So we go up Flanders and we have to take a right, because that's a one-way out, and that's in the, I'm not saying this very well. It's a circular traffic pattern?
Yes.
Around that building?
Yeah.
So in order to get into the building, you have to drive 180 degrees to come around to go into the traffic pattern?
If you come up Flanders here, you take a right. You cannot go straight in. You take a right, and you have a choice to come down here in this area here for parking. And you get, if you want to, if you happen to go to the doctor's office, that's on the lower level. If not, you continue driving through and park here. And then you can see these are angle parking to avoid anybody from coming in. And the driveway has been narrowed to 12 feet.
Okay. So then that 180-degree turn, if the large apparatus from the fire department headquarters on North Main Street was coming up Flanders, there's no issues with that 180-degree turn?
No.
Perfect.
That's a big radius right here. If you can see, it's a large radius.
All right, thank you. Those are my
You're
questions.
welcome.
Okay. Any other questions from members of the commission? So I have a couple questions. How many parking spaces are we proposing here?
We have 115, I believe, and requirement is 103.
So you exceed the requirement?
Yes, by 12. It's a doctor's office, so we want to be, actually, the regulations were changed. There used to be, you were to provide one parking space for 150 square feet of net area. It was changed to 200, so that's how we end up having some additional spaces. But that's,
Because the site plan was originally approved under a previous commission. I think I read 2009, if I remember correctly.
yeah, and the requirement at that time was one parking for 150 square feet of net area of doctor's office, and so we had some additional parking spaces.
But it exceeds the parking regulations under today's regulations.
Today's regulations.
But today's regulations don't apply because it was originally approved under the 2009 regulations.
This is an existing approved plan,
Right.
but it's
Same-
always good to have some extra.
Got it. Just stay with parking spaces for one more second. I see that you do have a couple EVs.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I
Spaces on
forgot
those.
to mention, they're located at this location here.
Okay. Last thing, sidewalks.
Sidewalks are existing on Flanders and North Main Street.
Okay. Okay. I will note, based on, again, on our memo from our planning department, that there remains a couple additional comments from engineering that need to be worked out, and it might be wise to include those as a stipulation. Is that correct, Jim? You could just nod yes or no if you want to.
I actually reviewed them just before the meeting, so it's ready for action, Mr. Chairman.
So all your concerns have been addressed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Jeremy, while I'm on it, all your concerns have been addressed, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Is there any other questions for members of the commission before we entertain a motion on this one? All right, let's look for a motion on this one.
I'd like to make, Jamie, please.
I'm going to make a motion to approve SPR 1883 as presented.
Second.
So we have a motion from Commissioner Sewell and a second by Commissioner Britton. Any further discussion? Without seeing any, can you please call the roll, please?
Commissioner Coles?
Yes.
Commissioner Britton?
Yes.
Commissioner Sewell?
Yes.
Commissioner Gaida?
Yes.
Commissioner Ma?
Yes.
Commissioner Jablonski?
Yes.
Chair Hammersley?
Hammers is a yes. Motion passes 7-0. Congratulations. Item 10H, Southington Cheshire Community YMCA site plan modification for proposed 1,600 square foot addition to existing office building at 240 square foot addition to existing barn. Hey, tell Tom Arcari, Bob Hammersley says hello, by the way. He's a good guy. To an existing barn property located at 1,000 East Street, Zone R80, SPR 1885. Mr. Judas again.
Yes.
How are you?
Good, Mr. Chairman.
You know, at the next
Commissioner.
meeting, I think I'm going to have people come up and tell us what they did over their summer vacation. So if you have something out there, you might want to start preparing a
I
narrative
got
on
nothing
that
good
one.
this summer.
Looking
Nothing.
for PowerPoint presentation. Come on.
No, I'm not. Come on.
I'm here this evening on behalf of Camp Sloper YMCA. We have two small additions.
Steve, could you just give us your name and address?
I'm
please?
sorry. For the record, Stephen Judas with Cole Civil and Survey, 876 South Main Street in Plantsville. The Sloper, we were in previously, this is a site plan modification we came in for a splash pad and new bathrooms. They now are looking to add a small addition to the office space and a walkway to access their existing handicap parking spaces. And then we have a very small little addition, I think it's 10 by 20, added to the existing barn. So two small improvements. The site, it's a rather large site. This is just a continuing improvement of Camp Sloper, which is a kind of a gem here in our community. So we did receive some minor comments. We did revise the plans according to those comments, and I think I believe we're ready for action tonight. I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Our memos say it's ready for action, so it seems like the
I believe
planning and
that it
engineering
is.
comments have been satisfied. So, are there any questions for members of the commission to the applicant on this one? Steve, anything else you want to say, or
Nope.
quit while you're ahead type of
I-
thing?
yeah, less is more.
I think you're good. If we could, okay, I'm looking for a motion on item 10H.
I'll make a
Commissioner
motion.
Shaplinsky.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve SPR number 1885 as presented.
Second.
Who was that? Was that guided down there? Okay. Jamie, you're well represented here, so I'm going to give it to Kristen while she's here. So, okay, so we have a motion from Commissioner Chaplinsky, a second from Commissioner Gaida. Is there any further discussion on this? Seeing none, I will just say, as I said about Mount Southington at our Economic Strike Force, the benefits of Camp Sloper cannot be overstated to this town. It provides excellent daycare, summer in particular daycare opportunities for parents in this family or in this town. And as someone who has partaken in that or used that on several occasions with several of my kids, it's a great program, and I look forward to its continued growth and expansion in that area. It's a great site and, as you said, a real gem to our town. Can we call the roll, please?
Commissioner Coles?
Yes.
Commissioner Britton?
Yes.
Commissioner Sewell?
Yes.
Commissioner Gaida?
Yes.
Commissioner Ma?
Yes.
Commissioner Jablonski?
Yes.
Chair Hammersley?
Members is a yes, motion passed 7-0. Congratulations.
you.
Item 10I, Northeast Winemaking, site plan application for a proposed 10,640 square foot building and 6,080 square foot future expansion and infrastructure for a winemaking operation with a tasting room. Property located at 1601 West Street and West Main Street. This is an I-1 zone, SPR 1886. Mr. Brevino, go for it.
There we go. Miracle. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commission members, Seve Bovino, planner with Pratchett Jones, represent the applicant. The property is located on the south side of West Queen Street. The map on the screen here for orientation, this is West Queen Street. North is up, and to give you an idea where on West Queen Street this is located is probably 300-400 feet east of the Cap and Lewis Drive intersection, which is that industrial park that you talked about. This property is on the south side of West Queen Street, but it's about 300-400 feet east of that. The parcel area is 3.08 acres. It is a portion of a large parcel, over a 100-acre parcel, I-1 zone, served by public water and sewer. The proposal is for a winemaking operation with a small tasting room. Within the operation here, we highlighted there's a space here for a tasting room. The operation is currently in Plainville. They'll be moving to Southington, and the plan is to build this proposed building here, 10,640 square feet, with a future addition of 6,080 square feet. There's no food preparation associated with the tasting room. Therefore, we don't need a grease trap. We provide a photometric plan showing that we're not proposing any spillage on the neighboring properties. The hours of operation are 8 to 5, Monday to Friday, 8 to 1 on Saturday, and during the prime season, the grape winemaking season, which is now coming up, will be sometime on Sunday for a while. We have proposed appropriate landscaping around the perimeter. Staff suggested that we add some more landscaping. We added it along West Queen Street. We added in this location here. We have street trees within the property and along the future road here and along West Queen Street. We have flowering shrubs along the frontage and on the sides of the building. The drainage we propose is a detention area in the rear of the building at this location here, and eventually discharges in an existing intermittent water course. We received wetlands approval. We achieved ZIRE in that detention area. We propose 2 catch basins to have hoods on it to be able to capture pollutants that are generated within the parking area. The parking is provided in the front of the building and in the rear of the building, where we'll have a loading dock here and we have truck parking here away from West Queen Street. Current number of employees are 5 employees. The plan is to expand as many as up to 15 employees. The proposed, let's see. We received wetlands approval. Proposed is 35. Total number of parking is 35. That's what I was trying to tell you. The number of parking spaces is 35, which includes the truck parking. We received staff comment and responded to them in writing. We adjusted the maps to reflect those concerns, and I believe that we have met all their requirements and their concerns. We have to apply to the Zoning Board of Appeal for a liquor license because of the tasting room, and we are in an I-1 zone. So we did that, but I believe the commission can act on that independent of that permit. If they don't grant that, we will not be able to have the tasting room.
Okay. Is that it, sir?
Yes.
You all set?
Yes.
Any questions from members of the commission on this application? Caleb?
So I have 2 questions. One, I guess, is for staff, and just for my own knowledge, how come we're not doing a subdivision application for this?
So this would qualify for the first cut for the property. So subdivision is 3 or more lots out of a parcel that has existed since 1941 in Southington. And they have not had their first cut off from this parcel yet. So when this lot gets created, it'll be the first split. Further splits will qualify for subdivision.
So we got two left to go before it has to go to subdivision?
No, this would be the free cut. The next lot that gets created would qualify as a subdivision.
Excellent. Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Second thing is, kind of off the record, really excited that I don't have to drive to
It's
Plainville
not
anymore.
off the record, Caleb, you're actually
I am
speaking
totally
into
on
a
the record.
microphone. It's going to be on the record.
I am as on the record as you can possibly get. Really excited that you guys are coming to Sullyton, so I don't have to drive to Plainville for my winemaking supplies. That is all.
Okay. Is there any other comments from members of the commission? I'll just read that, according to our memo, that engineering and the water department have a couple stipulations that they're recommending to us. I'll read those to you and just ask if you're okay with those. Engineering is recommending a stipulation as part of any approval to, one, determine the need for a DEP general permit for the use of the building and the interior floor drains, and two, stormwater volume for a 25-year storm must be completely stored on site in accordance with an engineering department review of adequate freeboard must be provided in accordance with the Conduit Drainage Design Manual. Are you okay
We have
with
no
it?
objection to that.
Of course not. The water department is recommending a stipulation to provide a profile of the water service leading from West Queen Street and address any last changes to notes on the plans. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, so I think that any motion should include those stipulations as well as part of those motions. My question is are you actually going to be making the wine at this location?
Yes.
And where are the grapes coming from?
I have a representative here, Mike. The owner, he can tell you all about it.
Good evening. Michael Melankaitis, Plainville, Connecticut. So the first question was?
I'm just, first was, are you making the wine here, which I said you are, and two, where are the
We
grapes
make
coming
wine
from?
there, yep. We bottle it and we sell it to the public. We have our license for that. And we also sell, we bring in the grapes from California
Okay.
for the home winemakers.
Okay.
So if you want to learn how to make wine, we can show you how to do that too. So we do both.
So you have like classes out there as well?
We have classes and
Wow.
all that fun stuff, yeah.
And you're currently operating out of where?
Plainville.
Plainville?
Robert Jackson Way.
And
We have
moving-
our tomato facility there. Right next door is a winemaking facility.
So you saw the light and decided to move to a better community, and that's why you're here in
Actually,
Plainville?
we sold, and we got to get out by, February. So,
You sold because you knew you were coming to a better community.
because we knew we were absolutely coming to a better community. About a half a mile up the road, yeah. So Caleb doesn't have to come to Plainville to get his stuff.
Thank you. On the record.
Okay,
Okay.
on the record.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you, I appreciate that. I was just curious about those other things. Is there anything else from the members of the commission? Otherwise, I'll look for a motion on this one. Can we get a motion on this one?
I'll make a motion to approve SPR 1886 with the following stipulations. One, determine the need for a Connecticut DEP general permit for the use of building and the interior drains. Two, stormwater volume for 25-year storm must be completely stored on-site in accordance with an engineering department review. An adequate freeboard must be provided in accordance with this Connecticut DOT Drainage Design Manual. And three, provide a profile of the water service leading with West Queen Street and address any last changes to notes on the plans. And planning department comments have been addressed. The end.
Okay, so we have a motion with a couple of stipulations on it. Do we have a second on that?
I'd love to second that.
Commissioner Coles, with a second? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, can we get the roll, please?
Commissioner Coles?
Yes.
Commissioner Britton?
Yes.
Commissioner Sewell?
Yes.
Commissioner Gaida?
Yes.
Commissioner Ma?
Yes.
Commissioner Japlinsky?
Yes.
Chair Hammersley?
Hammersley's a yes, 7-0, motion carries. 7 is the right number, right? I'm hitting the right number,
You
okay.
know, we always ask the cottage food people to bring in samples.
I know, that was.
Hello?
Yeah, no, can't do that. Item 10J, release of erosion and sedimentation bond in the amount of $3,100. Mark Mead Innovative Components, property located at 72 Summer Street, SPR 1570. Mr. Carpone, is this ready for action?
Ready for action, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any questions from members of the commission? Can we get a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to approve SPR number 1570 as presented.
Commissioner Chaplinsky with a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Ma with a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 11, what everybody's come for, why they're all sticking around, is they want to listen to us talk about fee structures for land use applications. As was mentioned, I think a while ago, at least a month or so ago, I think I mentioned this to you all, that Jeremy had put together as part of a due diligence exercise, had put together some land use fee applications, modifications that he was looking for advice and consent on. The governing body, the body politic, if you will, is the town council on this ultimately, so we don't have the power to approve these. That really lies in their forte, but I think that if, what Jeremy might be looking for is sort of our advice and consent on this. If that's correct, Jeremy, can you just let us know and maybe go through a little bit what you have in your memo real quick?
Sure, that is correct. I would be looking for your guidance and a recommendation up to the town council to adopt a revised fee structure. You'll notice on the memo that I put together, the third page is the existing fee structure, and you'll see that there's a revision date there of November 2023, and that relates to the change of the home occupation permit from a special permit over to a zoning permit. Other than that, the fee structure exists from 2008. So this is something Mark Schoda and I started working on back in, I'm going to say, January, February timeline when he was still town manager. Alex Ricardone and I continued that discussion after he took over, and Alex was involved in the conversation before that even. We're not looking at updating the entire fee structure. I think there's 6 or 7 items that I want to take a look at, and this primarily has to do with the cost of legal ads that have to be filed in the newspaper. They are running to the tune of $100 to $150 per legal ad these days, depending on the length of those. And it's really hurting our budget. We're spending well over $10,000 a year on just legal ads. And it has always been my belief that an application should support itself, that the taxpayers of the town should not be subsidizing applicants that come to the commission. That's my personal belief. And so I would propose that we update some of these fees so that we are covering the cost of those legal ads, so that the applications that come in cost to cover those legal ads for themselves. That's the primary reason for the increase.
Okay, well stated. I appreciate that overview. Jeremy, I appreciate your efforts. Just for the record again, you looked at comparable communities to the town of Southington. If you want to talk about those, how did you determine what communities that you were going to look at?
I did. So I started with our direct neighbors because, of course, we're going to share a lot of contractors and applicants with our direct neighbors. And then from there, I looked at, I think, about 10 or 12 communities around the state that are similar in population size to us. So I went 10,000 below to 10,000 above. So there's a range of communities, and you can see them in the chart that's the 4th and 5th pages of that memo. Range of population from about 38,000 to about 50.
And the last time these fees were adjusted was 2008, if I remember correctly.
That's
So it was
correct.
roughly about 16 years ago.
That's correct.
And the last thing that I have is kind of what you said, and just to expand upon it a little bit. I mean, the fee structure right now, you mentioned the cost to the town taxpayers for running legal ads in newspapers, but that doesn't also account for the staff time that you and other members of your staff, as well as members of engineering and any other staff that may be involved with the water department or the fire department or police department or anyone else who might get involved in any particular application. Their time isn't accounted for in that either, correct?
It's correct. I mean, we try to accommodate for that to some extent. It's hard to put a hard cost on that because every application takes a little bit different time. And you're right. I mean, it's our time. It's the engineering department's water. It's fire, depending on what's going on. So we try to account for that the best we can. But those are, I'll call them soft costs. We have folks on staff that are getting the salary, and that's part of our role. So to me, the hard costs are the things that we really want to make sure that we're capturing.
And I think, too, that it's fair to say that, the taxpayers, in my opinion anyways, the taxpayers shouldn't be footing the bill for developers who come in and file for these applications. I mean, we're still remain pretty competitive, and I'm sensitive to that, but at the same time, I mean, I'll use the term, I don't want to be taken advantage of either. And I think that it's fair that the developers and anyone who's filing an application have to pay for that to cover some of those costs, and not put it completely on the taxpayers as some of it is structured right now. Is there any other questions or comments from members of the commission?
The only other thing that I'd just like to add is that I tried to put us in the middle of the pack. I didn't want to be at the top end. I didn't want to be at the bottom end anymore. So you'll notice that I tried to kind of keep us in the middle of the pack.
And what prompted this review of the fee structure? If it's been 16 years since we last looked at it, why did you look at it?
I was hired in September and started taking a look at a lot of different things. So
being proactive, that's where I'm going.
That's
I
about
just
it.
want to put that on
I've
the
been through
record
this
that-
exercise in the past and noticed that our fee structure was from 2008 and thought, gee, the dollar is not worth what it was in 2008. Maybe we need to look at that a little bit.
Well, you know, that group of people who hired you, Jeremy, they must have been really good.
Interview panel was darn good, I'll tell
Yeah,
you.
I know. I wonder who they are.
Mr. Chair.
Caleb,
So, real quick, so you focused on six different items. Why stop there? Why didn't you kind of run the whole gamut?
So I did an evaluation of the entire fee structure, and those items that I'm not bringing up for an increase already sort of fall into the middle of the pack of where those other communities are that I evaluated. That's a good, it's a great question.
Good, okay, thank you.
Rob?
I'm fully in support of being competitive and, you know, from a fiduciary standpoint, taking care of the taxpayers in this town so they don't have to pay for it. So thank you as a taxpayer.
Yeah. Pat, did you have something?
Well, to add to both of those points, yours and Commissioner Britton's, these are not, not only should they not come out of our own pockets, but they really are not application fees that regular residents are going to see. These really are for the developers, subdivisions, text amendment changes. I think this is a great change. 16 years later, I appreciate you taking a look at this. It makes sense.
Anyone else? Jamie?
I had the same question as Mr. Chair, but I will note you did an outstanding job doing this research, building this chart, and I think after 16 years, I think you nailed it.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? I did have a conversation with Commissioner Tedesco earlier today about this, and he asked a question that I'll just bring up because he's not here. And just to get your response, Jeremy, is there any plan to look at these things on a more regular basis, or is there anything in the hopper to make sure that these are looked at, say every 5 years or whatever the arbitrary number is,
So there's nothing hard and set in stone. My feeling is every 2 to 3 years, these things should be reviewed.
Yeah.
Every year gets a little bit silly. I don't think we need to be updating them every year, but every 2 to 3, I think, is something reasonable. And that's what I've done in the past.
So are you looking for a motion from us to approve, or to make a recommendation to the town council that these be approved as presented to us?
Yes, I would be looking for a recommendation, a
Okay.
motion for a
Is it the
recommendation.
flavor of the commission to make such a motion, and if so, go for it.
Flavor is right. I'd like to make a motion to endorse the plan as written. I think that it's going to be a help to the town and our general budget, to the taxpayers.
Okay, do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Sewell with a second. Is there any further discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There you go, Jeremy. Keep us in the loop on where you go here. So-
Thank you, everybody. I
Okay.
appreciate the support.
Okay, item number 12 on our agenda, receipt of new applications and items to schedule for public hearing. Jeremy, you want to go over these 5 real quick?
Yeah, really quickly, and I haven't had a chance to look at most of them because they've come in within the last couple of days. We've got I think 2 ground mount solars, we've got 2 parent-grandparent apartments, and we have a site plan mod out at F&F Concrete there. I know that one's a little bit, that came in yesterday, but they're just shifting a few things of their operation around on the site so that they can get a maintenance garage in there.
Was the solar application a duplicate? Because it looks like
Yeah.
it's written the same twice. Was it done twice?
Oh, Sarah Moore and Sarah Moore.
Yeah, good point. So solar, the ground mount solars require a special permit and a site plan. So it's on there
Oh, I see.
twice, just like the Arch Z that we saw earlier tonight.
Got it.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Good catch. I saw the same thing, so I'm glad you brought it up. And just again to remind folks that the Arch Zone site plan is still open for public hearing. If anyone approaches you about wanting to talk about that, please tell them to come to our next hearing, which will be on September 3rd. There may be things that get said out there on social media. Sometimes you find that, and I would warn people against commenting on those. Silence is your best option there. And you probably don't even want to read them, to be candid with you, because you don't want to be accused of having your opinion swayed by any of that. So just stay away from it. But if there's nothing else, we'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Commissioner Chaplinsky, do we have a second? Second. Somebody over on my right, Rob, we'll give it to you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?